Ever been told you're too much? Ever been told you need to tone it down a little bit? Maybe be just a little more realistic? Hey everybody, it's Kelly Anderson, your Feeling Good Mama. Today I want to talk about why raising our standards is not being too much. So I think that there's a common misconception in our society that women, especially when they go after what they want, when they seek to have a better life than maybe what they have right now, when they start to try to have nicer things or go for bigger jobs, there's kind of this stigma. Women like that are too much. Maybe you have been in this position before in your life where someone has told you to kind of dial it down a little bit. Maybe, calm down. Don't be so loud. Don't be so flagrant, and maybe not try to bring so much attention to yourself. Have any of you ever had that said to you before? Or maybe even like you have a dream or a goal and someone has said, maybe you should not go for something quite so big. Maybe you should try to be a little more realistic. Does that ring a bell at all? So I know people who tell us these things, they usually mean well. They usually have really good intentions, and a lot of times they really love us and they just don't want to see us get hurt. But we have to learn at some point, if we want something out of this life, we have to start developing our own standards, and we have to learn to start kind of holding ourselves to the fire in regards to these standards and saying, this is my standard now, and I'm not going to go below that. There is this cultural stigma to kind of shrink down, and especially this is for women 40 plus. There's really this stigma that women, after they have had kids, after they've kind of supposedly had their career, they're supposed to kind of just be quiet and fade off into the background a little bit. Like, yeah, you guys, you aren't really here to be heard anymore. And I personally think that women, once they get to this age, that's when that fire starts to really start to build inside of us. That's when we're really ready to start speaking out and to start using our voices for good, for impact, and really making a difference. And I think kind of culturally throughout history, societies were a little bit afraid of that. I think women in their 40s and up had some power. They had a lot of wisdom. They had a lot to actually give back in order to kind of raise the collective, raise society, raise humanity. And to the powers that were in charge, that was threatening. So I think this is just my own take, my own kind of personal thoughts about this. I think throughout history, women, after, really, we were kind of taught throughout history that our jobs were just to have kids and have families. And those are wonderful things. I'm not belittling those at all. But we kind of received that message that we're supposed to be pretty. We're supposed to keep a nice home, keep ourselves nice, and have children and have beautiful families and beautiful home lives. And that is home lives. And that is all well and good. But then after that, you're kind of done. We don't really need you anymore. And you can just kind of be quiet. And I think that the powers that be, they knew women had more to say. They had more to give. And I think that they were kind of like, okay, we got to kind of like keep this. If we kind of keep it down, we can keep it under control, because there's so much power there and so much force. Who knows what could happen if it's released? And I'm here to tell you that you have a lot of power, and you have a lot of magic in you and a lot of creativity, and you have so much in you to go out and really affect things, really affect the world, if you are courageous enough to say, no, these are my standards now. These are my standards, and I am going to speak up. I am going to have the life that I want. I am going to go after the things that I want to have and the things that I want to do. Why are we taught to be small? Why are we taught to not outshine anyone? I think that these are important questions, because it brings to mind, like, collectively, why can't individuals step out and do great? It's always kind of been like group think kind of things. But when you look back through history, it's the individuals, most of the time, it's the individuals that we look back on, those that were courageous enough to outshine, those that were creative, that were courageous enough to stand out and stand up. Those are the ones that we remember, right? When we look back to history, those are the ones that we say, yeah, they're the ones that really made a difference. I know I kind of went around that in a little bit of a roundabout way, but I want you to realize it's not a bad thing to outshine. It's not a bad thing to step up and be a leader, to stand out, to have a voice. Some of the ways or areas in our life that we do really tend to kind of shrink or, be small are in our work, in our relationships, and in our career. I mean, in our creativity. A lot of us in our work, we don't want to step out of bounds because we don't want to rock the boat. We don't want to ruffle any feathers, especially with our peers, our coworkers. We never want to be that girl that's like, oh, she's such a kiss up, or she's such a do-gooder. You never want to be that person, because there's a bad stigma connected to that. But what if you stepped back and you said, no, if I kind of step out of the box and I step away from the crowd and start stepping up and shining a little more, maybe that's actually going to benefit me a little bit. And you know what? Maybe that's okay. And these stigmas of the kiss up or the do-gooder that don't have a very good connotation at all, maybe they were just created to kind of hold me down a little bit. Maybe it is actually okay for me to really start bettering myself. So what does that look like? To start bettering yourself in your career, in your relationships, and in your creativity. What does it look like to start raising your standards? I want you to look at every little aspect of these things and start thinking, how can I upgrade this? How can I make the experience here way better? How can I start doing things that will start bringing me more joy and more happiness, more peace even more luxury? How can I start making little adjustments to upgrade? And I want you to tell yourself, I am not going to feel guilty about this. I'm not going to feel bad. I'm not going to feel too much. So I want you to look at your life right now, and I want you to look at the areas, those same areas of work, relationships, and creativity, and kind of look at why could you possibly need to raise your standards. And so I'm going to go over just a few things that you can look at and be like, okay, I do kind of have that going on. So yes, that's a little red flag. That means I need to step it up for myself. So this is a big one right here. You're feeling depressed. You're feeling anxious. You're feeling a lot of anxiety. So what this means a lot of times is you're not living in alignment with the standards that you really want. You're not living up to those ideals that you feel like deep down you really want to have. You may not quite feel like you deserve them yet, but you really want to have these things. You really want things to feel a certain way. Say in your relationships, you're in some close relationships where maybe people don't talk to you so nicely, and maybe you think deep down you have this feeling like, I would really like to be in a relationship where either this person or someone else is treating me a lot more kindly and gently. And I want you to look at if that is making you feel depressed, anxious, or anxiety when you're around that person, or just in general. That could be a real red flag that you need to start looking at your standards in that area. If you find yourself like cowering, not wanting to speak out, you find yourself in situations where you're kind of like, oh, I really wish that I could stand up. I wish that I could speak out in front of these people, speak my mind, or even just do public speaking. If you find yourself in a position where you're like, but I could never do that. No, I just can't. Or you get to a moment where you're like, oh, I'd really love to say this. I'd really love to speak my mind with this person, but I just can't. I just can't do that. I'm just going to have to bite my tongue. And sometimes we do have to bite our tongue just for out of kindness. And I'm not saying to go out and just be vicious to people or anything like that. That's not what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about standing up for yourself and saying, no, this is what I deserve. And I have a right to my opinion. I have a right to voice my thoughts on this. I can certainly respect your thoughts, but I have a right to my thoughts as well. That's what I'm talking about here. I want you to be able to feel like you can start speaking up more, speaking out more, and I want you to really feel like you can shine. This could mean in the way you dress. If you want to dress a little more, maybe a little more sexy, or maybe just a little more glamorous, or a little more upscale, and just look a little more professional. Don't just have it in your mind, oh, I wish I could do these things. I wish I could have this. I want you to really start doing it. These are real red flags. If you find yourself hesitating, they're real red flags that, okay, maybe I need to actually give this some thought, and maybe I actually need to take some action here and stick to what I really want. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to be a little scary at first, but if you start walking in that just every day, I'm going to walk in my standards. I'm upping my standards. I'm not going to go below my standards. If you start walking in that, no matter what, your life's going to start to get better, and you're going to start to, that anxiety, that anxiousness, and even depression is going to start to subside, because guess what? You're starting to stand up for yourself. You're starting to demand more of what you want and more of what you deserve. And I'm here to tell you, you totally deserve this, okay? You're a human being on this earth. And I do feel, I mean, I'm not a man hater by any means, but I feel like women, we carry a hard road just being women. You know, just being in a woman's body is a lot sometimes. And so I feel like we deserve gentleness. We deserve kindness. We deserve luxury and things to feel good. One thing is that I want you to stop making excuses. When you want something, I want you to start making the decision, this is what I want, I'm going for it. Don't justify why you can't have it. Don't make excuses for why you can't. You can have it. Start believing you can have it. May not be immediately, may not be this moment, but start believing you can have it. You deserve it. But the biggest thing is you have to start looking at your standards for every area of your life and really understand, this is how I want things. This is how I want things, and I'm going to start demanding it a little bit, and you're not going to be too much. That is a myth. The myth of being too much was created to hold you down. And so I want you to start knowing this, understanding it, and living it every day. You have more power than you think, and you deserve whatever you want. So I want to leave you with this little quote. It's very small, and to me, it sums it up. What I allow in my life is what will continue. So think about what do you want to continue in your life? Do you want the same old, the way it's always been to just keep going on? Or will you start to say, nope, I'm not going to allow this anymore. I am going to start allowing some really amazing things to come into my life. I'm going to start allowing an upgrade in my surroundings, an upgrade in my wardrobe. I'm going to allow myself an upgrade in the foods I eat, in the places I go, the people I hang around with, even the music that I listen to. I want you to tell yourself these things. I'm going to start looking at every area of my life and see where I can upgrade and make it better. And even if you're on a tight budget, there's always something that you can still do to start upgrading. And as soon as you start upgrading your life, even if you're on a tight budget, you'll start to notice bigger and grander things will start to come in for you. I hope this gives you a little bit of encouragement to take some time, sit down, look at your life, jot down, like, this is kind of how things are, and this is how I would really like for them to be. And then when you look at how you would like for them to be, start thinking about, okay, what steps do I need to take? Do I need to start saving money to have this happen? Do I need to get a new job? Do I need to get out and start moving and exercising more to make this happen? It might be a lot that you need to do, and I want you to take it in little bits and pieces. Don't get overwhelmed with this process, but I just want in your day-to-day life, when you're riding in the car, be thinking about, okay, how can I be upgrading this thing? How can I, when you look at your wardrobe, How can I upgrade my wardrobe? What do I need to release in my clothes that they just don't feel good anymore? They don't feel like me. They don't feel like the upgraded, new version, high standard version of you. Thank you guys so much for being with me today. I'm Kelly Anderson, your Feeling Good Mama. I'd love to share the next video with you here. Just check it out and hope you enjoy, and we'll see you on the flip side.